Israel is continuing to attack targets in central Iran. In fact, Israeli fighter jets bombed the headquarters of Iran state broadcaster IRIB in Tehran. In fact, the strike comes shortly after the Israel Defense Forces issued a major evacuation warning for the area, signaling a targeted hit. Footage captured the exact moment the broadcast was cut off, with the anchor seen fleeing the studio mid-transmission.
آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم.
Now, Iran today launched a fresh wave of ballistic missile attacks targeting key Israeli cities, including Tel Aviv and Haifa. At least 8 people have been killed in the strikes hours after Israel once again bombed Tehran, the Iranian capital. At least 224 people have been killed in Iran since hostilities flared, including women as well as children.
من نمیدونم چند تا از همکارام داخل چیدن تصویر اقتدار ایرانی و ایرانی جماعت و شکست هیمنه رژیم کودک کش صهیونیستی، چیدن تصویر اقتدار ایرانی و ایرانی جماعت و شکست هیمنه رژیم کودک کش صهیونیستی، چیدن تصویر اقتدار ایرانی و ایرانی جماعت.
In fact, dramatic surveillance footage captured the moment a missile slammed into Petah Tikva, a city just east of Tel Aviv. Reportedly, an Iranian missile has directly struck the residence of an Israeli army battalion commander in Petah Tikva. Aerial footage reveals extensive damage in the city of Bnei Brak, east of Tel Aviv, following a direct hit from an Iranian missile. Structures, shattered rooftops and debris-strewn streets can be seen. This is one of the several Israeli cities that got struck in Iran's latest missile barrage. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel's Air Force was in control of the airspace over the Iranian capital, Tehran. Netanyahu spoke during a visit to Tel Nof Air Base, where he met Air Force pilots and also commended them on their work in Israel's offensive against Iran.
Of Tehran. This is a change to the entire campaign. We are on the way to achieving our 2 goals: elimination of the nuclear threat and elimination of the missile threat. When we control the skies of Tehran, we strike these targets, the regime's targets, in contrast to the criminal regime of Iran that targets our civilians and comes to kill children and women. We say to the citizens of Tehran, evacuate, and we act. We are on the way to achieving victory.
As both the sides continue to trade deadly strikes, the risk of a full-scale regional war grows, prompting renewed calls for de-escalation from the world leaders.
Oh, careful. Careful. Careful.
These are the devastating visuals coming in from the ground as the tensions are only escalating between the two nations. Both the sides not stopping on any condition, continue to trade the deadly strikes. Both the sides severely hit with the missile attacks. There is a risk of full-scale regional war growing with each passing days, as we are looking at the visuals of damage on both the sides coming up on our screens.
Multiple people have been killed and homes destroyed as Iranian missiles struck Israel's Tel Aviv and the port city of Haifa before dawn on Monday. It prompted Israel's defense minister to warn Tehran residents would pay the price, and soon. Those comments were walked back later, with Israel saying it has no intention of causing deliberate harm to residents. Israel's National Emergency Services raised its death toll to at least 23 civilians since Friday. At least 100 more were wounded in Israel in the overnight blitz, part of the wave of attacks by Tehran in retaliation for Israel's strikes, which targeted Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. Israeli attacks in Iran have killed at least 220 people since Friday, with 90% of the casualties reported to be civilians, Iran's health ministry has said. Several residential buildings in a densely populated Tel Aviv neighborhood were destroyed in a strike just a few hundred meters from the US Embassy branch in the city. The building sustained minor damage and there were no injuries to US personnel. Fires were seen burning at a power plant near the Haifa port, media reported, with search and rescue operations underway, emergency authorities said. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said the latest attack employed a new method, causing Israel's multi-layered defense systems to target each other. It said it allowed Tehran to successfully hit many targets without providing further details. There were no reports in Israel of interceptor missiles hitting each other. Israel's military said on Monday it had struck again at command centers belonging to the Revolutionary Guard and Iran's military. Israel began the assault on Friday, wiping out the top echelon of Iran's military command and damaging its nuclear sites. It says the campaign will escalate in the coming days. Iran has vowed to, quote, open the gates of hell in retaliation. US President Donald Trump has repeatedly said Iran could end the war by agreeing to tough restrictions on its nuclear program. Iran says it is for peaceful purposes, but Western countries and the IAEA nuclear watchdog say it could be used to make an atomic bomb. Iran said its parliament was preparing a bill to leave the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, adding that Tehran remains opposed to developing weapons of mass destruction. Israel is presumed to have a sizable nuclear arsenal, but neither confirms nor denies it. It is the only Middle East state that has not signed the NPT.